Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast and we return ahead of the North London derby. Yes, it is that time again, and how quick has this come round? So some of us too bloody quick has come round. Look, if it was for the first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're of course on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we're on Blue Sky too. We're joined by returning guests. We're joined by a special guest who gets on here twice a season. Many wonder if he pays his way onto it. No, we do invite him on here. I know you're thinking, are we nuts at the moment, given where Spurs are, league positional wise? I'm joined by, a man who's been alongside me 7, 8, 9 years, currently floating about in the Spanish mountains and actually at an airport. So don't be perturbed if he does take off at some point. Hopefully our second half of the season does. Richard Crackers Cracknell's back alongside me. Cracks, twice in a week, I'm blessed. How are you?
And tomorrow night as well, hat-trick ball for this week. So honestly. Evening Rick, evening everyone, Lee, Billy, and Mrs. C hasn't finally cracked and kicked me out, like living in my car. Although the lads at football training behind me in the stadium, right next to the airport, as one just lands in front of me. So if you hear a few Ryanairs flying about, that's why. So, but I tell you what, living in the car, not bad, Rick. Actually, I've got a little packet of biscuits. Look, I brought a flask. You wouldn't believe I'm in an exotic location like Lanzarote, would you? Like, it's like a day out to the seaside at Cleethorpes, isn't it? Well, I've got my flask of tea. Even though it's all Spanish speaking and tapas here, like the odd cup of tea and a puck of pie. You know, you're never far from home, are you? So, evening, everyone. I'm just trying to talk about everything other than that derby tomorrow night. I'm trying to keep my mind up with it.
Bloody love you, Crackers. Bloody love you, Crackers. Also back on the show, a man always behind Ange Postecoglou's revolution and more. We got the wonderful Billie T, King of X, back in the house. Bill, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Sorry, I was a bit late. I had to change my computer setup. I had to download Internet Explorer because I'm boycotting all things Google after that advert today. So I'm back on Internet Explorer like an old man. I feel like my dad on, going on. Can't use Google anymore. Got to use Bing, Internet Explorer. But we've got to do what we got to do this week, haven't we?
2025 to Spurs fan. Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment. What a start we've had.
Is Ask Jeeves still going? Do you remember that? I'm going to start using that instead.
I asked him how
just
to
don't ask
Google.
Just don't ask Jeeves where the fucking league table's at the moment, for God's sake. We're going to look worse even by tonight going into tomorrow. Listen, back on the show. Always lovely to have him here. It's testing circumstances in the Tottenham fan base. So what we've gone and done, let's make ourselves even more depressed. Let's bring Lee Judges back on the show. Of course, opposition guest of AFTV. What are we doing on the show? Where is the show going? Lee, lovely to have you. How are you, bud?
Yeah, I'm very, very good, and I can tell you this now that I'm definitely on Google, 100% on Google, So there you go.
Honestly, mate, I tell you what, Lee, what a start to 2025, right, for both football clubs. I mean, look, we make this joke often that you come from a cross section of a Tottenham and Arsenal family. So let's go into it. I mean, what do you make of the two football clubs at the moment before we come on to the derby itself? I mean, testing times for both clubs at the moment. Yeah. I mean, we've seen you have a good little wobble in the last week, if you don't mind me saying.
No, we have gone out 2 cups in 4 days at home, not the best, if I'll be honest. And contrasting things. The best thing for me was, it was a bad day on Sunday, but, I know that all you Spurs fans have lost 2 years of your life when that corner went in from Tamworth in the last minute and they got a centre-half running on it. And if he hits a good connection, it could have been mayhem at Tottenham. But at least I know you didn't have a great Sunday. There was a lot of relief. So speaking to me Spurs family members, I think Bill's watching today. He's a big Spurs fan. So but listen, it's as your once legend said, it's a funny old game. Anything can happen. I think from our point of view, from an Arsenal point of view, it ain't been good the last 2 games. But if you need something to do you know what? I also don't know about you guys if you feel this. you had it with Liverpool. It's different when teams have got the whole goal behind the goal for the atmosphere and everything like that. Like tomorrow, it's back to normal. Like just you're stuck in the little corner there, like, and so hopefully that will make the atmosphere a little bit. But yeah, if you're on a bad little run, the one thing you need
8,000 it now.
Yeah, Man United. I've never seen Man United had all behind the goal and a bit of the corner as well. It was ridiculous. You know, so
we'd never get 8,000. I don't think if we got you in the cup there. I don't think.
When Tottenham had the cup, they never had as much as Man United. I don't know, is it because Man United got a bigger crown? I don't know why that was, but anyway, that's what it was. So but like from our point of view, if the fans and that can't be up for a North London derby, then it shouldn't be Arsenal fans. So I think from our point of view, we're on a little bit of a downer, but knowing that we got Tottenham, everybody's going to be out. There's a little bit of friction between the fans at the moment and all that, but like,
haven't noticed, Lee. Haven't noticed.
No, well there is. But it's the same for you guys as well. Like you're in the same. You know that come tomorrow, you'll all be cheering on the even if you don't rate certain players in the teams and all that. Like and as I said today, if Kai Havertz scores an hat-trick tomorrow, all will be forgiven. All will be forgiven. Like,
Well, I mean, I would have said the same about Burnham. Go on, correct.
Rick, we did get 8,000 tickets for that cup game. Trouble is, everybody put the state like Arsenal into their Google Pixel phone, and Google Maps sent them to Woolwich. So everyone had gone south. Google had gone so Arsenal, they sent all the fans to Woolwich on the train. That's like 4,000 of them couldn't find their way there.
No intelligence.
We've gone early. We've gone early with a little dig there. It might be the only thing we get in this show, given where we are at the moment, league-wise. Look, Bill, let's start with you, actually. That all eyes are going to be on the capital for this huge North London derby. It's weird because we've not had really a lot of time to build up to it. Dare I say, I can't really say we've had the magic of the cup, given we were taken to 120 minutes by Tamworth. And we did get the win eventually. Obviously, Arsenal have gone out to Manchester United, respectively, the FA Cup. So, I mean, look, this North London derby comes thick and fast in a midweek where we've not had a huge amount of time to build up to it. And as we go going into this one, Ange Postecoglou is yet to register a win over the Gunners since becoming Spurs boss in the summer of 2023. And he'll be absolutely determined to put it right. We know Spurs, they can't afford defeat in the league. They go into the game at the moment, 12th in the table, 4 points adrift of Brighton in 10th. Arsenal, on the other hand, as we know, they've enjoyed a nightmare week, as Lee touched upon there, suffering cup defeats against Newcastle United, 2-0 in the Carabao Cup, and out of the FA Cup as well to Manchester United. Bill, how big a game is this in Tottenham's calendar? Of course, North London derby away at Arsenal, a ground we don't tend to do well at. How much do we need to see a performance here, and do you feel we get a result?
I think it's always the biggest game of the season. Well, no matter what way you look at it, no matter who's playing, no matter if it's a cup or not, it's for the fans. It's the biggest game of the season. I think in the context of our actual season, though, I don't think this is a result which is going to lead to Ange being sacked or not, because we never fucking win there. We never win there. We've won there once since I've been a fan, pretty much. So I don't think you have to mad to say it's a win or nothing game, because we don't win at the Emirates. We won there once in the cup. And we won there once in the league, and that's it. So, I think it's a really difficult game to be life or death for the actual manager. But for the fans, it is life or death. That's what it feels like anyway, everyone will have a sleepless night tonight, be worrying about this game. And I think it's an impossible game to predict. So I think it's the best derby in the league always. And you never know what's going to happen on that pitch. Both teams have the ability to capitulate sometimes. Arsenal certainly a lot less than we do at the moment, but still, they do have everyone has got him in a derby, red card, something like that. But I think if we would have to play like we did against Liverpool the other day to be able to even dream of getting a result. Arsenal's crisis in Arsenal's crisis in inverted commas, they're still unbeaten in the league in quite a few games. So it's very different to our crisis. Put it that way. It's not you can't compare the two crises. We're bottom half and losing games left, right, and centre. Arsenal don't lose the games left, right, and centre. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I will come on late shortly the form at the moment with regards to Arsenal, but Crackers, just bringing you in there. We touched upon this at the weekend that you were blessed to be back alongside me as part-timers. Tamworth produced a heroic display to take Tottenham's extra time before the 3 goals went in that period to see Spurs through to the next round of the FA Cup. Quite madly, that was a first draw in 90 minutes in 89 games versus a National League side. Although having said that, it's our second clean sheet of 2025 under Ange. It's crazy how you can go from 5 days from beating the Premier League and Champions League current standings at the top in Liverpool and then have that display against National League in Tamworth. But, we have set up a full round draw against Villa. It won't be easy. But what's your general thoughts going into this one, Cracks? A game that, as we've typically said on paper, and, stats show you we don't have a good record at Arsenal, but my God, could Ange do with a win at the Emirates to really try and get some momentum back in Spurs' domestic campaign?
Yeah, Billy's spot on. Our record there is just awful, no matter who we've had playing and who's been managing. It's one of those games where like form kind of goes out the window as well, because it's normally when we're absolutely bobbins and they're flying that we'll get something from the game, and vice versa, although the vice versa doesn't come along so much. I think, to be honest, I think Arsenal's last couple of games with that, like the game versus Newcastle and game versus Man U, is, although like we was all cock a hoop with what happened, I don't think we will be tomorrow night, because they've now got to lay down a marker and a bit of a statement again. So, it's a sort of perfect game for them to bounce back in, given what had happened versus Man U. But this is Ange ball, isn't it? Like, this is Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham. Beat Liverpool 1-0 and actually look pretty decent with it, and then go to Tamworth and do that. It's like 1 minute you Baywatch, next minute you cry and watch, 1 minute you're a well beaten, next minute you're a panel beater. You just you never quite know with Spurs. So tomorrow we could go there and get walloped 5 or 6-0. But we could also go there and win it 2-3-1 or something. You just you can't ever put Tottenham in your acca. If you're a betting person, you've got no chance, absolutely no chance. And that just sort of summarises Spurs' season and the way we seem to approach games, and just you just don't know where we are, who we are. So all bets are off tomorrow night, Rick, but you can normally tell within about the first 5 minutes of Spurs playing what you're going to get, because in that Liverpool game, we got to that 5-10 minutes and you thought to yourself, all right, we was all expecting to be 2-0 down by 10 minutes, and you looked and you went, well, we're all right here. And then the Tamworth game, it was 5 or 10 minutes into it, and I'm thinking to myself, haven't I got some eyeballs I need to bleach, or some pubes to backcomb and whatever? You just, you know what I mean? You just think to yourself this is going to stink. We're going to stink the joint out today. So tomorrow night, give it about 5 to 10 minutes into the game, and you'll have half an idea of how it's going to end up. Whether we're going to be chins on deck in the pod after the game, Rick, or Cockaroop knocking a few Australias back. So let's see.
Lee, bringing you in, obviously that you are very much watched a lot around the world from fellow Arsenal fans and Tottenham fans as well, that have seen an interesting maybe sea change in Arsenal season over the course of the last 5, 6, 7 days. You touched on it there, of course, the fact that the league form hasn't been where you wanted it to be, and the fact you've crashed out of the FA Cup. There's many that are imploring me to ask you if you are still firmly very much behind Mikel Arteta's project at Arsenal. Where are you in terms of Mikel Arteta at the moment? And how much pressure is he in this game to deliver you a win to keep Arsenal's title hopes alive?
Yeah, listen, I'm very much with him at the moment. I am starting to question him, though, if I'll be really honest. I think over the last sort of few weeks, months, really been questioning it. Listen, I think that with Arsenal, it's more frustration and disappointment. We're frustrated because I think that, what we did last season, particularly what we did last season and the season before, we haven't hit those heights in form, and we haven't played like that, and we've been a little bit more defensive, and I don't really understand why we've gone too much like that, and the frustrations there, like, you know, and yeah, like, I think that there is a bit of frustration there, like, you know, but it's just for me, if I've got the one problem I've got with Arteta is, like, you know, listen, teams come and play this defensive system against us. They do it at home as well. We've had it with like Fulham this season and teams like that, and we just can't break it down. Like, you know, like as I said off air, in the last sort of 5, 6, 10 games, 2 teams have come out and played against us, and that's Crystal Palace and Brentford, and we've beaten them 5-1 and 3-1. All the other teams have played banks of 4, and we struggled 0-0 against Everton, 1-0 against Ipswich. And I'll be honest, in the Ipswich game, hanging on right at the end, you know, like, you know, playing Ipswich, and like the fans were 5 minutes from the end of blowing whistles and, like, you know, wanted the game finished and ended. So that don't bode you very, very well. And of course, obviously Newcastle and Man United as well, like, you know. So there's a blueprint out there to beat Arsenal at this moment in time, and you know, if it's no secret, it's out there. If Ange wants to be Ange, then you know, come and play us, and we'll be happy with that. But if he goes into that blueprint, I believe that Tottenham have got better tools than all of those managers that I've just said about, from like eating people on the break. You know what I mean? Song, Johnson, Solanke, and all that. Like that's a lot more penetrating than what Man United done now. But basically, Man United come in there and defended for the whole game, even with 10 men. Give them credit for that. They had one shot in the game and scored from it. You know, good goal from Bruno. But I think that Tottenham have a little bit more than that. And certainly they're more than what Everton did. So at the end of the day, it's up to how Tottenham want to play this game for me. When I sit on my seat and I see your fullbacks bombing past the halfway line, I'm going to rub my hands and say, right, let's see what happened, because Spurs could still win that, by the way, but I've got more chance of Arsenal getting like a little bit more space in certain areas, and we know what we're doing when we've got space and time. Put those areas in when you're defending against us. I think we run out of ideas, boys. I think we run out of ideas in a lot of games. So that's my big problem with Arteta at the moment. So it'd be really interesting what Spurs do tomorrow. If they come in there and try and frustrate us and or go that route, or they go the other route. So it'd be interesting. So I very much still, it does make me laugh when I hear Spurs fans, and I've got like friends and family are saying it, like, you know, oh, well, you got to do this and got to do that. Well, yeah, well, I'm taking that. How would you know? You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, you know, we're second in the league. There's a lot of other teams would be like to be second in the league.
Listen, there's nothing I can listen. Unfortunately, all my mates are feeling. I can't say anything to them at the moment. You know where we are at the moment. I can't say anything to them. But I just wonder, Lee, is it a must win for Mikel Arteta?
100%. It is a must. Like, it is a must, because somewhere along the line you've got to start gaining points on Liverpool, like, you know. Now it's not like, as we're speaking now, Liverpool are losing, like, yeah. If they lose and then we don't capitalise on it, it ain't the end of the world. But there is, at some point, there's going to be. But if, for instance, this stays the same and Arsenal win tomorrow, you know, it's only 3 points behind. I know that they've got a couple of games in hands, or 6 points. I don't even know how many points it is. You know what I mean? I don't even know how many points we're behind. I don't even really look at it like. So, yeah, we'd be 3 points behind if we beat Spurs tomorrow. Now, we'd have a game in hand, but, like, you know, that game in hand's Everton away. You don't know, and everything like that. All of a sudden, there's a little bit of pressure, like, you know. But if they was to lose today, and when we don't get the result tomorrow, particularly at home, you know, there's going to be a time when you got it. So we've got to start cracking on at some sort of stage. We've got 2 difficult difficult games coming up. Like Tottenham is always difficult. I know, like we've won against you, like how many times, but we didn't last year. You know, it was a 2-2 draw, and I think at the end of the day, I'll be really honest, Spurs deserved to win that game last year.
It's a little bit, but just to pick up on that, Lee, and let you come back in there. A little bit of a different Tottenham side you're facing now. Of course, Spurs.
Listen.
At the start of that, I mean, when you're looking at Spurs now, and we'll probably come on to what your feelings on Spurs in a bit more detail, but with Spurs 12th in the league right now, I know again, Arsenal had this wobble. You still feel all that goes out the window because it is a North London derby in terms of form?
No. Look, listen. I'm not. But when people say about form goes out the window and all that, like, if I'm playing tennis against Rafa Nadal, he's going to beat me every time. He's better than me. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if Arsenal turn up tomorrow and put in the performance that they know they can, then there's no problem. Like, you know what I mean? A few years ago, Tottenham were a better team than Arsenal. If you put in the performance, you know you was going to win. So we all know what it's like.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, listen, I don't want to disrespect Spurs fans and everything like that, you know, but you're 13th in the league at the moment for a reason. Like, you know what I mean? West Ham are above you at this moment in time. So it's not all sunshine and Skittles and champagne and all that. There's something not right at Tottenham. We know that, like, you know what I mean? Now, you're going to put that down to a lot of injuries, and it is, you know what I mean? Like, you know, no one feels sorry for Arsenal because we've got injuries. No one feels sorry for Tottenham because they've got injuries. That's part and parcel of football. But I don't care what anybody says. Tottenham would not be 13th in the league with the players that they would be starters. You know what I mean? Like, you've got the two main central defenders out at this moment in time. Jesus, we had Saliba out towards the end of a couple of seasons ago, and it was tough going. So, like, to have both of them out, and then you back up in Davis, who's still a decent enough backup going out as well. So there's problems at Tottenham, like, you know. And if I'd be really honest about it, you've had your goalkeeper out as well, and Arsenal should be looking at that today and going, right, they've got half their back four out. Well, you know what I mean? We're at home. We should be going and doing this. In saying that, though, Liverpool come there last week and you put in a performance, and I thought deservedly deserve to beat them. Like, you know what I mean? So you can't take anything for granted and say, right, oh yeah, we're going to turn up and win this game. Arsenal got to play well tomorrow to beat Spurs. It's as simple as that. But if Arsenal do not beat Spurs tomorrow, then you've got to ask questions of the manager, and you've also got to ask questions of the process, if that's what we want to call it, transfer thing and all that, because Arsenal should beat a team in 13th in the league. In saying that, though, there's a team 14th in the league and we couldn't beat with 10 men. So when Tottenham go, they've got no hope and everything like that. There is very, very much hope in there, like, because I'm telling you that now, I have not seen a worse Man United team in Premier. I have seen it in before, but like in Premier League history, this is the worst Man United team, right?
Yeah,
they cause us all sorts of problems in the league. And not all sorts of problems. I'm talking about they come in there, defended against us. It took us 2 set pieces to score, right? It was 0-0 at half time. They've come again yesterday at the weekend. We've hardly tested them, like, you know what I mean? So there is, as I say, there is a blueprint. The one thing I will say tomorrow is that I don't know if the goalkeeper review is going to improve and all that, like, but we are very, very good at set pieces. Actually, talking to a couple of Man United fans yesterday, when you get a set piece, it's a nightmare. We're really nervous and all that. Like, and you know, when we played you for the last 2 years at Tottenham, you sense it around the stadium.
There's a nervousness, isn't there? There's a nervousness about it.
There's a nervous energy around stadiums when we've got a corner. So listen, you know, it is part of our armoury, and you know, I can see us probably winning the game 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 2 set pieces. It wouldn't surprise me if that is the case, you know. But listen, if Tottenham defend well, stick in there. As I said, you know what I mean? Like Man United, and I think personally, I know that I think Spurs are a better team than Man United. To prove that in the League Cup a couple of weeks ago, like, you know,
well,
they've got a result here, like, you know. So I don't think when people say it's all doom and gloom, this is for the first time. I've always said this when I've come on here and everything like that. I've always said, like, home advantage is a big thing, like, you know what I mean? I've always hate going to Tottenham.
You've always said that. Yeah.
This is the first time I'm worried. I'm worried about tomorrow. Like, I'm not,
it's crazy that
quietly,
you're
I've always
worried.
been confident.
I think you're worried that we're 12th in the league. It's the most craziest season, isn't it? When you think about that.
There's a blueprint out there to beat Arsenal. Like, that's my worry.
Yep. Well, listen, many will argue also with Ange, again, and we'll bring this balance to the show. There's a blueprint out there that also can beat Tottenham, and we've seen, obviously, a lot of managers do that to effect in these last 18 months. I mean, look, we'll just bring up where we are on the injury front, because I know, again, the respective clubs have been dealt bad hands in terms of the injuries, and I will bring in Bill and Cracks on the Tottenham side of things at the moment. Look, and Postecoglou did confirm earlier on Wednesday that Richarlison... Tuesday, it's available for the upcoming North London derby against Arsenal. He will be back in the squad. However, surprise, surprise, the hamstring woe of Tottenham goes on. We understand that Timo Werner has sustained a hamstring injury. We have not got an actual time frame on the extent of his absence, but that would certainly kill any rumours as things stand of Napoli showing more concrete interest in trying to bring him to the Italian league before the end of the January transfer window. There were rumours that they were trying and having exploratory talks about bringing Werner to the football club before the end of the month. You'd imagine that will go on hold. Tottenham are waiting on results of the German scan. And it's just so typical Tottenham, where you'd argue they've at least got Richarlison back now. We understand Mikey Moore is also going to be back in the Tottenham squad. But as two come back, Spurs lose another one. And that means, obviously, Werner will be out of the North London derby. Look, I know many out there with Werner would quite be happy to see his contract terminated. I think they wouldn't be too disappointed that he won't be featured against Arsenal. But it's another body that's gone down there, Bill. I mean, there's no surprise that if you've seen it, Bill, yourself personally, that Tottenham have been advertising jobs for a number of medical staff on LinkedIn, which pretty much sums up where we are right now. I mean, it's just, NHS Tottenham. Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? Crazy.
Yeah, I'm thinking of applying, to be honest, mate. I've got no recent experience, got no clue about medical whatsoever. I've got an interview tomorrow, so I should be all right, I think.
We'll see you Saturday.
Yeah. Look for me. I will have one of them bags that you put along. I'll be there on the touchline. Mate. But I've been moaning. We've all been bemoaning our luck this season about our injuries, but maybe the Werner injury is a sign that things are starting to turn around for us. So who knows? I also I saw Paul O'Keefe on Twitter, friend of the show, talking about how maybe Ben Davies will be back, and that could be a big one for us. Yeah, because I think I seem to talk every week on it about the fantastic job that Archie Gray's doing. But he played the full game the other day, didn't he? Another 120 minutes.
That kid is incredible. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you agree, Bill. The likes of Bergvall and Gray, although they've been really thrown into what's been a lion's den over the course of the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. I mean, they will be better for this experience. I mean, even if we as Tottenham fans might not be better for the experience coming into the season, what this club might do to us, but they'll be better as players. Do you agree?
Certainly, mate. And, they both getting a sizable amount of minutes. And Archie Gray is just, the fact that we lose every week and we get beat every week, but we're never really moaning about Archie Gray. Our defence is not great, but he's never a name that comes up as a sort of problem of that. So he's been absolutely fantastic for us, playing out position week in, week out. Poor guys not had a single game in midfield for us. And but having said that, I think Davis being back would be a big boost for us. And hopefully we might get to see Archie Gray in midfield again. Because if there's one thing that he deserves, it's a game in his best position.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I mean, Gray has played all but every position by the one he wants to bloody play at the football club, which hopefully he'll come on to doing at some point in the near future. Cracks, yet more injury news in the Tottenham front. I mean, is it just a case of trying to just battle through this period? Or I feel I've been saying battle through this period for the last 18 months when it comes to the injuries. I mean, you surprised anymore? There's that narrative out there, Cracks, with regards to the injuries being because we're playing at game intensity in training. I mean, we could go down that theory if we want to in terms of where these injuries are coming from. But is it just concerning again? We've got another injury. And again, with Werner, look, I know many can't stand him, many loathe him, many might not want to see his future at Tottenham or certainly him continue here. But it's still a blow to have a player that would offer something to the squad. Maybe not finishing, but he does offer that raw pace that at times Tottenham have deployed this season.
Well, the faults on Werner for or against, and most seem to be against. It's another hamstring injury, Rick. And, and Postecoglou's training methods, he's got form for this. We saw it at Celtic. So, he's a man that won't change his tactics, both on and off the pitch, even with training. So something's not quite right with his training methods that people are getting pushed too hard. So, I mean, it's fine if you want to push people that far, but you better have the squad to be able to cover it, and we haven't. So if you haven't got the squad, you then need to change something in your method. So I don't know. Have you got that graphic, Rick, of our current injuries and the NHS waiting list? There it is. I mean, look, Forster's the backup, but we've addressed that goalkeeper issue now, and he looks a talent, doesn't he? The new lad coming in. Maddison's suspended, so that's not an injury. Richarlison's coming back. Papsar's suspended. Davis is coming back. Romero, I don't know what's happened to him. I think he's got a strained plane journey to Madrid and strained something else. Mickey van der Ven, he's a hamstring. Udoji's a hamstring. Vicario, ankle, but as I say, we've dealt with that as cover. And Wilson Odebear, I thought was a Motown singer because we've seen so little of him. It's like we've seen him for about 12 minutes, haven't we? But point I'm making, Rick, is we're not far off of our first team now. We've once the suspensions are done, it's just that that great big gaping hole in the middle of Van der Ven and Romero that's now missing. Once they're back, doesn't that look like the film poster from a lovely 1980s movie about like bros at one fateful summer go camping together, doesn't it? It looks like one of them American 80s movies. That lovely picture. One with a family album. But we're not far off. We have nearly
treasure that cracks. It might not be there next year.
No, I bet it won't. So we're not that far off. So once we get those two back, we've then pretty much got our first 11 back. So then results will definitely 100%, no doubt, pick up because it's not everything that's going wrong at Spurs at the moment is just the injuries. So I'm told by the experts. So we're not that far off injury list wise, but something's got to be done with the medical staff and or the tactics that are being employed in training. They've got to be. Something needs to be done there, Rick, because these hamstrings, they just can't continue to be a thing. They just can't. You can't burn through a squad members that much. Something needs to change. I mean, like advertising on LinkedIn for medical staff. This is the 8th richest club in the world that's just taking millions and millions and millions of pounds of our money, either via TV subscriptions or tickets or beer that fills from the bottom up. We shouldn't be advertising for medical staff. Like, you should be out there getting the best in class, going to them and saying, how much are you earning like at this Swiss clinic or wherever it is you're working at? Okay, you come and work here because you're the best in class and we've got the money to be able to pay. It just seems bizarre that we're advertising on like what's next in the back of like the Exchange and Mark, or like putting an advert on Facebook Marketplace for a couple of doctors. Come on. It's like multi-million-pound business. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. What a way to run a football club. Disgraceful.
Apart from that, you're fairly happy, Cracks, yeah?
Other than that, cock the rope. Yeah, crack on.
Let's come around the judges. Look, I mean, also Arsenal have had their fair share of injury issues this week. They've had the news that Gabriel Jesus is suffered an anterior cruciate ligament injury that has left him out for the foreseeable future. He'll be lucky to make it back to the start of next season. And in terms of where Arsenal are going into this game, they are also going to be without Ethan Nweri with a muscle injury. Obviously, Saka is still missing. Ben White's still out. Tomiyasu still out. While Ricardo Calafiori is also a serious doubt. Arteta was actually asked in his pre-match presser with regards to whether Jesus' injury does change his thought process in relation to the transfer market. He said, look, my answer doesn't change. We are actively looking in the market to improve the squad. We have been since day one, especially with the circumstances that we have. He was pushed further on that and said, look, when you recruit a player, there are 3 passes that you have to agree with, and our limitations are like any other club. We can do what we can do. We have a plan in our squad, and we have limits to what we can do, and that's a fact. The fact is, I love our players a lot. That does not mean we cannot think about improving the squad. We're not that stubborn. We all want the same thing, to use and improve the squad. He's been pushed obviously further with regards to trying to bring players in. I know Lee, you've been really wanting to see new players come to the club. We understand that Arsenal will land long-term target Martin Zubimendi at the end of the season. It does appear Arsenal are fairly keen to bring him in this window, but Sociedad aren't so much keen. He's going to probably stay there till the end of the season. Lee, what's your takeaways with regards to Arsenal injuries at the moment? Similar to Tottenham, you've got a few in there that have caused some disruption to the season. And like us, very much jumping up and down that you need players in this window. As we understand, Fabrizio Romano's given us the here we go that Mawani will not be a Tottenham player. And that's hence why we didn't bring you the news at the start of the show. We thought you'd feel that in midway. Judges, do take it away.
Yeah, listen, I think, everybody's got injuries, and I do think it's down to the recovery. I think like Arsenal players had 3 weeks off. You know what I mean? That's not enough when you're like looking at the season, to recover and everything like that. And it's no coincidence that the likes of Saka have got injured. Rice has been injured this season. There's just not enough time to recover. I don't know if it's training and all that. I think Tottenham have had their fair share. Arsenal have had their fair share. Man United have had their fair. I think everybody's had their fair share of injuries. And I think the one common denominator is lack of recovery time for all of them, going on tours and things like that. And I just think it's ridiculous, the games that they have. And at this moment in time, like with Arsenal and same with Spurs, is that I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's every weekend, midweek, so when have they got time to rest and recover? And more importantly, when have they got time to get on the training field and do something So I think that's probably the reason for it. Listen, we've had untold injuries this season, but I think that sometimes, do you know what? I'm going to say it now. Luck plays a part in that. I think luck, sometimes you can be lucky with injuries or not. The ones that maybe can be avoided are the muscle ones. But when I look at that, Saka's gone out with a hamstring injury. Wanyeri's only 17 and he's got a hamstring injury. Now, someone like Wanyeri, who's not really played that much, if I'll be honest. He's been sort of spared and all that. You've got someone like Archie Gray that's been playing week in, week out, same sort of age. He seems to be getting through with it, So I do think it's a little bit of luck, and it's just something that happens. But what you got to do is get on with it. The one thing that, and I don't like, when players get injured, but Jesus has gone down on the 14th or 13th, 10th or whatever it was of January. It could have been 14th of February. So there's a chance you can do something Saka went down at the beginning of the transfer window. So he could have gone down in January, the end of January or the beginning of February. So we've got a chance to do things now. Looking, people are saying now, because that guy's gone to Juventus, that opens up Vlahovic. That may be that we can get him. We've got to get somebody in. We've got no forwards at this moment in time. And not only that, we're going into the business end of the season where it doesn't really matter, to be honest. You know what I mean? You can't go in there with no strikers. You can't do it. Arsenal will drop like a stone if that's the case. They've got to bring in, I think, two players. Saka's not coming back. You know what I mean? He's just had an operation on a hamstring injury. That ain't happening. You've got Van der Ven, who's, I don't think he had an operation, did he? But he's hamstring injury. He's been out for ages now. And the problem you got with hamstring injuries, if you rush them back,
like we did.
Like you did with and if we do that with Saka, I guarantee you it will go again. You know what I mean? And so there's a thing now that if they say, it's 3 weeks, say it's 6 weeks. You know what I mean? So, and I think at the end of the day, Saka's been overplayed. It's going to catch up on you. And listen, the ironic thing about that is that we rested him on the Wednesday for the cup game against Crystal Palace, and he gets injured on the Saturday. So even when you rest them, they can get injured. So it's all a little bit about luck and all that. So you just have to wipe your mouth and get on with it. But you've got a chance. in January to do something about it. If Arsenal don't do nothing about it, it's on them. It's on the club. It's on them. Yeah. Not Arteta. Or well, he'd be a part of it as well. He's going to take the brunt for it because he's the one that leads it. It's and I will say, and I'm not sticking up for any of these. It's not easy to get players in January. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. So we're, like normally the big boys wait until the summer, but Manchester City struggling a little bit, aren't they? Like they've made signs,
and they're moving, and they're moving. They're moving in
the right direction. Yeah. So at the end of it, even if it ain't what you really want, it can help. Now, you guys can be slagging off your owners and doing whatever you want. You had a goalkeeper go down. I don't know how long ago it was. First week in January, you've brought in a goalkeeper. That is good business. That's proper business. Because at the end of the day, you needed to do it. You've not waited to the end of the January transfer window. Someone at that club said, no, we need to push this forward now and get it done. So you have to give credit where credit's due. Arsenal have had since the 21st, Saka went down on the 21st of December, not been replaced. And that is something that is on Arsenal. And we've got to get that sorted out. Because we're going into a game tomorrow. Like, if we get a couple of players, who knows? You know what I mean? Like, it's the ground running, scores goals.
Yeah,
we're in it. Like, listen, Arsenal have not been playing well in the last two games, but we've had 41 shots, I think it was, and scored one goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you get someone who can score goals, sometimes, listen, do you think Tottenham played really well every single time when you had Harry Kane playing?
No, but Kane, as a player, would score a goal and no one remembered the performance. No one remembered the performance.
And cover up 1,000 sins. You'd have walked away 100%. From, I don't know, some grounds thinking, God, we've been crap today, but Harry Kane's got 2 goals and whatever. That is the difference. That is a difference between having a top striker and nothing. And dare I say it, if Spurs had Harry Kane now, you wouldn't be 13th. You might have all the same problems, the same injuries and whatever, but there will be times when he would have got you out of trouble. And that is the same with Arsenal. Arsenal have lost games this season because we've not had a proper striker. Now, and it ain't necessarily all the time when you we've beaten so-and-so 5-1, we've beaten this one 4-0, you've beaten this 3-0. It's those games when it's 0-0 and it's tight, and you're not playing well, that you need that goal scorer, you know what I mean? Like, so if Arsenal win tomorrow, right, it's because they've played well. They will not play a game like Man United where they can just dig in and be crap and defend and nick a goal, because we've not got that in our locker. And that is the thing that we've got at the moment. So, listen, Arsenal need to bring in some players. If they don't, we've had it. We have truly had it, and I think that will be a lot hard for us Arsenal fans to swallow, because we're close, and the frustration will build. You know what I mean? And everything. Listen, all teams have frustration. I'm pretty sure you lot are all frustrated about what's going on at Tottenham at the moment.
We don't want to be. Listen, although we've had a really good cup run to date, I know many fans feel like we can't be looking at the league table at the moment. And again, I mean, you said there, Lee, that to be fair to Tottenham, they did move quickly for the goalkeeper. But I think, for many Spurs fans out there, that they have seen across the first half of the season such a deficiency in terms of Solanke not getting that support, that help that he needs around him. We talk about defenders, the fact Spurs, it is a freak situation they're in, that they've lost every defender bar Radu Dragusin, which is crazy. But I think for where we are right now, we're 15 days into the window for our listeners on audio, and we've just seen Kolo Muani go to Juventus. We're not really sure, let's be honest, about how keen Spurs were to bring him to the club. Let's be honest about it. We don't know how much the intentions were. We understand Spurs did try until the very last moment to bring him in, but I think many Spurs fans felt really that we were the outsider in that race. I mean, how do you feel about at the moment, Bill, that despite we're bringing the goalkeeper, he's played really well so far. I think he's the first goalkeeper in over 100 years that has kept back-to-back clean sheets in his first game. Do you feel, Bill, that we need to still be doing more in this window, given that we're 15 days into it and we've only made the goalkeeper signing and we're sitting there mid-table?
I am 100% agree with that, mate. We said, I've been on the show a couple of times the last few weeks. These injuries happened in, November, some of them October. There's not been a surprise, mate. They have not been a surprise. It's not like they got in, for example, Gabriel Jesus. It's not that it just happened. These guys got injured in November. They've had a full month to prepare, to wear up a sign, exactly like they did with the goalkeeper. Lee is right to credit the club for what they did with the goalkeeper. That's made a huge impact already in only 2 games, and that's could potentially be an absolutely excellent signing for us. And the fact that the same wasn't done in the other areas where we've got massive deficiencies is crazy to me. And you know what's going on right now? They're having this conversation where, you know what? Now Ben Davies might be back next week. Romero's going to be back in a couple of weeks. Let's try and muddle it in through that and see where we go. We did that before. We rushed Romero and Van der Ven back. They both got injured again. So it's just crazy. Like I can't believe we're sitting here with no other signings than the goalkeeper. 15 days, halfway through a transfer window, when the club have had months to prepare. The only thing I can think of, mate, is we put adverts out on LinkedIn for a left back and a right winger. That's all I can think of. Because I can't believe we haven't got this. You know what? For me, I'm a bit confused about the Moani signing because I think he's played 80% of his games as a striker for PSG. I know he can play wide sometimes, but he's a striker, and strikers are one of the one positions that we've got at the moment where it's covered, and we've got genuine quality there. Like Solanke, been arguably our best player this season. Certainly in the top 3 performers we've had every single game. I know he's playing every single game, but I don't see it as a priority at all. I think there are much bigger priorities. Our wingers are in shocking form at the moment. We've got Mickey Walker back, which is great, but Werner, Johnson, Son, neither of them are in any kind of prolific form. And the real concern is, defenders. We've got 18-year-olds playing at centre back. We've got Jed Spence playing all over the shop. Jed Spence, we've got Reggie on back in the, reviving his career. We need some quality. And I personally think it's unforgivable that we're going into a North London derby midway through the season with no additions.
Yeah, Cracks, look, there is frustration amongst the Spurs fan base with regards to where we stand this January transfer window. And the thing is, I have seen, we'll come over to Lee in a second, there has been some murmurings that whilst things were a bit more calmer amongst Arsenal and their ownership, it does feel like that's going to start revving up again, which I'll come over to Lee in a second, because if they don't act in the way they want to, given, I think for many fans for Arsenal this season, they probably thought they were going to be involved, really trying to push hard for the title. And look, they're still there. I mean, they could still win it, but it just feels Cracks with Tottenham right now, 15 days into a window. We thought we were going to get more. Am I wrong in saying that, Cracks, or was this kind of roughly what you was expecting?
Well, I think Lee's right. The January window is industry-wide difficult, but not undoable if you're prepared to offer the money. But the problem you've got is you can't buy a player that isn't for sale. So back in the day, especially if you're trying to buy from another Premier League team, they're all now so minted that they don't need to sell. That's the thing. And if they've got a player that they really need for the rest of the season, no matter how much you want them and how much the player wants to go, you're not going to get them because the club doesn't need to sell. So there's a lot of variables in this, which is outside of Spurs' control. I mean, we know that ENIC have never been like drunk sailors on shore leave when it comes to transfer windows. They're well renowned for it. But then within that, there is variables that are out of their control. But as I say, not undoable. Certainly not undoable. We don't know, Rick. There may well be stuff afoot at the moment, and we're trying to buy off of Club X, but Club X need to make sure that they get a replacement from Club Y. It's like it's chains and buying houses, isn't it? So I always give the club right up until the window shuts before I give them any real clog or praise for a window. The keeper, brilliant. That was excellent business. We've now got to be smart and try and do this across a few positions. Billy's right. I mean, out on the wings, we've been shocking. But then that's also now down to the club and the management and the players themselves to find why Son's had this drop off. I think it's burnout, Rick. I think it's too much. Like, he carries the weight of a whole nation on his shoulders, and just the actual culture of somewhere like South Korea, carrying that weight, you really do carry that weight. We're sort of hawking him around South Korea, and that at the end of every season, he's been brilliant for us. But he is 32, and you know, he is going to come to a point where he slows down. It's plus the players that are around him. You know, if you've got really great players around you, as we're seeing with Salah, like at same age, just looks incredible at the moment, but he's got incredible players around him. So you can kind of see why that's happening with Son. Can we find him finding his form again? If that picks up, that's really going to help. Ditto with Johnson. Johnson's chipped in with some good goals this season, but as we've been highlighting on this show for a few weeks now, there's other aspects of his game that have to pick up, that has got to start kicking in and being a little bit more productive. Other than his goals are kind of masking his performances at the moment. Werner is just Werner. I've just got no words for him or that situation. So, you know, we've either got, when we've got Odebear, we're hopefully getting back. But what you want to see is some decent quality coming in, because there's nothing that motivates a player like someone snapping at their heels for their place. I'm sure Vicario at the moment's having some real sleepless nights because of what he's seeing with the new guy coming in. You know, I mean, with Forster, he's thinking to himself, like, I've got a cigar on. But now he's got this young lad up behind him. He's probably thinking to himself, shit, like, you know, I've really got to up my game. So this is what you want, competition across the whole pitch. So I don't know. I've got to give them till the end of the window to really make a judgment, because they might be working flat out to bring in 2 or 3, but they just can't get them out of their current club, because current club's waiting for 2 or 3 to bring in themselves. So, yeah, let's see. It'd be nice if we had got some business done, but it's not always down to the clubs. It's just the nature of transfer windows. So I try and be fair to that lot upstairs when I can be, and give them the benefit of the doubt. And it makes me feel better when I give them a right good kicking. So if you can get a balance with it, then nobody can complain, can they? But let's see who they bring in this window. So perhaps we can put as you say, put an advert on LinkedIn, or go to Exchange and Mart, and then go to the section for left backs, right backs. I think it's just after the Lonely Arts section. Showing me age now.
Is that reduced section on the yellow labels? Is it? God.
That's it. Yeah,
yellow
yeah.
Labels.
The end of the day, yellow labels. Yeah, that's it. We all know he loves the last day of the transfer window. Yellow label, old Mr. Levy, doesn't he? Look at this. I've just picked up cheap.
Judges, you know what? There's been, I mean, maybe not with you directly. I've seen a lot of, you know, a few of your colleagues, I'd say esteemed colleagues, maybe start questioning the owners once again with regards to Arsenal. Do you feel that's natural, given the fact that I feel maybe Arsenal going into the season? I certainly feel, again, I don't like praise like saying this. I felt Arsenal were going to be right there this season, bang there in terms of the title. Liverpool have obviously done ever so well under Slot so far. And look, you know, again, it's still very much an open league. I mean, despite the likes of Arsenal dropping points in City as well, it's such a basket case of a season where really there's been no real consistency apart from Liverpool. And although Chelsea have wobbled in recent weeks, they've probably been the other consistent side. I mean, where do you stand on your owners at the moment? Do you feel that you've said you need to see players come in this window? If you don't see players come in this window, how frustrated will you be with the ownership? Will it be back to questioning once again their intention? I know you've gone through this so many times around the ownership.
You got to look at. I don't know how you guys feel about it. If you don't bring anybody in, you've got to look at the ownership then. I think you know, Lee, just on that point there. I mean, you must know how unpopular ENIC and Levy are now. I'd probably say this is the most unpopular I've ever seen ENIC and Daniel Levy's tenure at Tottenham during the 25 years they've had the club. I don't think I've ever seen much frustration. The difference is, Lee, what I would say before you come back in there, is that when you protest the way you did against the Cronkies, that was really much in unison. Whereas at Tottenham, look, we've put our voice out there with regards to there being a need to push, you know, a change. But it doesn't feel that when it comes to the stadium on match days, we see that emphasis and difference there. No, because it builds over a time. And I tell you what, there's one common denominator of it, like whether you like it or whether or not, new stadium. Once you get a new stadium, things change. Because I tell you what, you spend a lot more money. also you're in a stage, and I think this is where I was, where you got a love for White Hart Lane, or you got a love for Highbury that people don't understand, and you're taking that away from you. It's a build this big shiny new stadium, and you're not doing nothing about it. You're not spending no money. So like, you've got a lot of the hardcore fans that will be thinking, well, if you're not going to spend no money, why have you got this big stadium? I'll tell you why you got this big stadium, so you can make more money. It's all about money. And that's when it starts to get, I don't see that there was this toxic thing with the owners when you was at White Hart Lane. It's changed now because you're at the stadium, and we've been there. I know exactly what you're all going through. You're going to the game, you're paying a lot more money, you're seeing thousands of fans more, you're seeing ticket prices go up, you're seeing the beer go up, you're seeing hot dogs go up, you're seeing tourists coming, and you're seeing loads of people, these tourists coming and buying loads of shirts and all things like that. And at the end of it, it's the same as what you're getting at White Hart Lane, or same as you're getting at Highbury. But why ain't the club doing this and spending? And that is one of the big reasons. And it will build, and it will build. I haven't got a problem with the owner. I don't think owners should be spending all the time. Right, this is not working. Let's go and spend. Like, you know, one of the reasons a lot of teams can't spend is not because of the owners, it's because of this stupid rule.
Yeah, with PSR at the moment. It's,
because, you know, like Newcastle, for instance, can't spend money. So I get a little bit of that. But at the end of the day, when you've got a chance to win the league, and I'm going to say that's what we've got at this moment in time. Arsenal got a chance of winning the league. We've got no strikers. If you as a club, as a board, are not going to go out and get that striker, you've got to look at it and go, hold on, what are you here for? Are you here to win trophies, or are you here to win money? Now, at the end of it, like Tottenham are a little bit of a different situation, but you're still in the Europa League, you're still in cup competitions and all that, like, you know. Now, you're going into the busiest end of the season. If you don't get what you want, and you foul and get knocked out of all the cup competitions, blah blah blah, you're going to come straight on that. Why didn't you invest? And that's the big question. You know what I mean? And listen, it doesn't matter if you can get 100 fans. You know, they're not all going to agree. They're not all going to agree. There's going to be Angie, there's going to be there's Arteta. There's people. You know, believe it or not, I was on a stream the other day when an Arsenal fan turned around and said, because Arsenal didn't win the league last year, we should have sacked Arteta. And I'm looking at it and going, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? Like, Manchester City went from December to May, they dropped 2 points the whole from that whole time. That was against Arsenal. Arsenal dropped 5 points from January to May. You want to sack a manager? So you're in a crazy world if you think of it like that, like, you know. So you're never always going to agree. But at the end of the day, the owners have gone out there this week and got you a goalkeeper. You might not agree with that, whatever, like, you know, but it's still hard to go and do. Go and get, and you'll get people go, oh, well, that should be done. Well, that other team that have sold that goalkeeper have got to get a goalkeeper. And then another team's got to get a goalkeeper. Somewhere along the line in January, there's a team out there that ain't got a goalkeeper. You know what I mean? And that's the way. You don't care about that, though, because you've got your goalkeeper. Like, we get our striker. There's going to be a team somewhere along the line that ain't going to have a striker. Do I care? Yeah. No, I don't. You know, because I've got ours. You know what I mean? So there is all of that comes into it. Listen, we all want our team to win. You know what I mean? We all want to, like, and whatever way you look at it, like, Tottenham are a proper football club. Arsenal are a proper football club. Like, you know. We all want to be a little bit like Manchester City in one way, but do we really want to be a Manchester? Do you really want to be a Chelsea? Do you really?
No, we don't want to sell our soul, but we all want to win. I mean, I know, I say with you as a fan, you know, you won the FA Cup a number of years ago. I know you want to get back to winning, like the same way as us, nearly 17 years now. We want to win. We want to win. And, you know, again, with Arteta at the start, you felt that where he brought that FA Cup there, and you're craving for more of that right now. And that's why, again, when you see, the fan base is the way they are right now. And you mentioned the fact around the divides of different fans wanting different things. We all want to win. We all want to win.
Yeah. And just one thing, if someone in the chat turned around and said, like, we don't care about Arsenal. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
But let's be honest about it. If Arsenal weren't where they are, we wouldn't be having the team that we are.
And I'll tell you why that is, because I've been there when Arsenal were down, like, and Tottenham were going, like, in the Pochettino era and all that, like, you know. So don't ever turn around to me and go, you ain't worried about Arsenal, because you are. Because I tell you what, it makes it even worse when you're not doing well and Tottenham are doing well, right? At the end of the day, Tottenham are not doing very, very well at this moment in time. So it's a little bit easier for us. But you imagine if we're where we are now and Tottenham was Liverpool.
I know.
There'd be so don't ever turn around and say you don't care about Arsenal. And as Arsenal fans, we don't care about Tottenham because we do.
Well,
hallelujah. Rick, Lee makes such a good point. I have this conversation with a few times, just the other day with my young lad, somebody I know, their other half, he's an Arsenal fan. And he'll often say to me, "Oh, when are you going to come and support Arsenal?" And I said to him, "All right, so if everybody comes and supports Arsenal, who are you going to play? Like, because there'll be no other clubs. If everybody supported one club, you'd have no other clubs to play. Or like, I'd love to see X relegated. No, you wouldn't.
We
you
need
really
each other.
wouldn't.
Yeah, we do need each other. We need each other.
Ask Celtic fans about when Rangers got kicked out down into the kick bollock and bite league for like having their hand in the till, and they didn't play them for about 4 or 5 seasons till they came back. They celebrated when it happened, and then after about another season or so, they were all like, "Well, this is a bit shit, isn't it? We're just sort of playing St Mirren every other week now." And they really missed it. So, that on that front, be careful what you wish for. You do want your biggest rivals and you want to be like nearish each other to give you that edge. It's what football's all about. It's exactly that. You do need them. This is what, as much as we kind of hate tomorrow night coming along, we're also like, first thing you do, like, when's the derby? When we got Arsenal? When we got them? You want these games. Like, this is what we all get into it for.
Of course. I just wonder, Bill, I'm going to ask Lee his impression of Ange going into this game in a second. But, Bill, how much would Ange win a lot of doubters round if he was to go to the Emirates and win, given he's won away at City, he's won away at United, he's beaten Liverpool at home? How much could Ange do with a win? Would that really get fans back on side, or do you feel there will be some fans out there that still would be, this man is still not good enough to manage his football club? Where you want it, Bill, for you? Because I know, again, you're still very much behind Ange Postecoglou right now.
Yeah, mate. And I think Lee said at the beginning, actually, mate, when he was talking about Kai Havertz. And by the way, I saw some absolutely disgusting stuff that some fans were giving Kai Havertz. I know we all joke about things, but some of the stuff that his wife was receiving was, it's ridiculous. But there's no better game to come along than a derby to turn things around. If Ange gets a win tomorrow night, that's it for the rest of the season. He'll get everything, the praise and everything. I can say one result now. I can say 3-2 at the Emirates. You can remember every score. You can remember every, Martin Yol, Yunus Kabul scoring that game. Dele Alli scoring that goal. This rivalry is everything to us, and a win there would be absolutely huge. It would cement, everyone can still remember where they were when we won that game 3-2 at the Emirates. That was 15 years ago or 60, whatever it was now. It will, it'll buy him some. There's nothing more grace than you can buy in football than beating your rivals, especially away. And it's not something that we've done at all regularly. So it'd be absolutely massive for Ange.
Yeah.
And I completely echo what Lee said. I don't think any Tottenham fan will be saying we don't care about Arsenal, and that's the whole point of rivalry. The reason why I try not to care about it so much is because it hurts when we go there and lose. It really does.
Well, listen, I don't mean in a bad way, but I'm sure you agree. There's not many Tottenham. Well, I don't know any Tottenham fans that enjoy this game. The same as Arsenal fans that enjoy it.
It's horrible. Even when you win it, it's until that final whistle goes, it's horrible. Both sets of fans. And I don't care who's, even Arsenal fans will be saying, we're a much better team than which they rightly are at the moment. No Arsenal fans will be enjoying it tomorrow. No one will be looking forward to
100%.
it. None of them will. It's a horrible experience.
Do you know last year when we was winning 3-0, and at the end of the game we won 3-2. Everybody's going mad, and Raya's coming over.
Yeah,
and I was quite near the front. He's going, sorry now. I'm going, get away. You just put me through 45 minutes of hell, mate. I don't want your apology, just get off the pitch. I don't want it. You just put me, even though we'd won the game.
I know.
It's how it is, And listen, I agree there with what Bill said. You win as much as it's great winning at the Emirates and all that, the times we've won at Tottenham, you enjoy them more.
Well, it's been far.
You enjoy all the away wins.
Lee, how many times you come here and said, there's been times of that Pochettino reign where you knew coming to Tottenham that was going to be really tricky. But look, let's have it right. You've come under the Ange reign so far, and you've won every time you've been at Tottenham. So I just have to ask you that on Postecoglou because, we do understand, you said it at the start of the show, that injuries have definitely compromised Tottenham's season. They have compromised. We're sitting in 12th, look, but there are many out there that do doubt Ange Postecoglou, and that's down to the fact that at times of his refusal to tweak the principles in certain elements of his game. Now, what's obviously interesting is that, I'm not going to put everyone through the Ange stats again because people have heard the Ange stats and for far, far too long about how bad the form is. It just wouldn't be right. It's an North London derby. We want to be positive, but I just wonder, you said earlier in this show, there's a blueprint to beating Arsenal, Lee. And if Ange does not follow that, he's stupid to do so. What is your general feeling? I just want to know your feeling because a lot of people say when they come on to Last Word on Spurs, and I see a lot of people in the contributors in the comments as well saying you have to give Postecoglou the same time that Arteta has had at Arsenal. And my response back to that has been, yeah, but Postecoglou is not going to get anywhere near the amount of money that Arteta's been given. And even so, let me just double down that for 1 second. He's not going to get proven players like Declan Rice coming through the door. You've just got Zubimendi coming, who was being courted by Liverpool and Chelsea as well last summer. So I really would love to know from an outside looking in, as an Arsenal fan, do you fear Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham?
Do you know, I'm going to say this is how I feel about Ange, and this is how I feel. As an Arsenal fan, I can't speak for every Arsenal, but how I feel like. I hope you stays for a very, very long time. And I'll tell you why. Because of the way he plays, the way his tactics are, and everything like that, Tottenham Hotspur will never win a league playing like that. And I mean that sincerely. You will never, because there's better teams out there, and sometimes even when you ain't got better teams, you have to do. There's different ways to skin a cat. Now, on the other hand, can he win you a Europa League? Can he win you an FA Cup? Can he win you a League Cup? Yes, he can by playing that way over 6 games and beating teams. Yes, so that is where I think. I am in that. I don't want Spurs to win anything. So, bring back someone that's I don't know, the managers you brought up in the past. You know what I mean?
But be honest with me, Lee. When you had the likes of, Conte. Listen, we know these managers never worked out at Tottenham. They brought in win now managers, never gave them the tools to win now. The likes of Conte, the likes of Mourinho.
They're not Spurs managers.
Nuno will gloss over, but when Maurizio Pochettino was here, Lee, as an example in comparison to Postecoglou, how much difference are you as an Arsenal fan going into a North London derby in comparison to Pochettino's time than Postecoglou's time?
I'll tell you that now, right? As an Arsenal fan, I've gone to Tottenham with Mourinho. I don't think it was Mourinho. Certainly with Conte. Certainly with Postecoglou. I've never feared going. Right. When you had him, Pochettino at Tottenham, I feared going to White Hart Lane. Feared it, you know what I mean? Went a whole season without losing a game, you know what I mean? The following season, he went to Wembley. If you didn't go to Wembley and stayed at White Hart Lane, you possibly could have won the league that year. He was that good, right? So there's different things. Now, probably at the end of the day, getting to the Champions League final cost him his job because what happens is, you know what I mean, certain player, and I know this from a fact, is that you're telling players, oh, you're going to be in the team, you're going to be in the team. You've got to wait for your time and all that. And then when Harry Kane got injured and he comes straight back in the final, it messed everything up for Pochettino. He had to either break that team up or go down, or he was going to go. The club decided that he had to go. Now, at the end of it, I don't see that with this Tottenham team at the minute. Look, listen, at the end of the day, look, and I'm being right, and when I look at it, where you are in the league, forget about all the injuries and everything like that. That's part and parcel of football. Every team has injuries. What do you have to do? And this is the problem with Arteta at the moment. There's a little bit there. You have to adapt. You have to do something different. You have to change things. Now, on a one-off situation, pains me to say it, Tottenham can beat anybody. Anybody in that league, as they've done and improved. And that is why there's always a chance you can beat us tomorrow, because if you turn up, you can beat. I've seen that, and I think, this is a team that goes away to Manchester City and smashes them, and then don't win their next 4 games or 5 games. You know what I mean? What is that? That's consistency and things like that. And there's a difference between that and going for leagues and things like that. Win your leagues is defensively, you've got to be, look, as a saying in football, defence wins your leagues, forwards win your matches. You've got all the forwards to win your matches, but you haven't got the defence. And Arsenal were a very, very good side for me. You couldn't win away from home. Why? Because you've got to defend properly away from home. And if you're not going to if you're not going to address that situation, for him to turn around and go, we're not worried about set pieces and all that, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to worry about everything if you want to be going and winning the league. So from my point of view, keep him there because you won't win a league. But I do think at the end of the day, you've got a great chance, you know, of beating Liverpool over 2 legs. You know what I mean? Like,
can you see a timely? And again, I have to say the reason why we love having you on here is that you're a friend of mine as well. That, you know, you are very honest. You know, I think you will always tell it as it is, and you'll remove the kind of bias away from Tottenham and Arsenal because you're just very much straight down the line. That's how I've always known you to be in the 5-6 years that I've known you. Can you see a time where if Postecoglou is given a huge amount of money and he gets in the players that he wants in time? If I'm sitting with you in 3-4 years down the line here, can you see a world in which Ange Postecoglou's Tottenham finishes above Arsenal and can compete for a league?
Listen, this get it right. Don't you know what I mean? When he had the best players in Celtic and the best team in there, he's won everything. So he's capable of doing it. But I'm sorry.
Can he do it in the Premier League? Can he do it in the Premier League?
No, because I'm not being horrible. Spurs are never going to be the biggest and best team in the league. They're not a Celtic where they're the best team in the league or the biggest club in the league that can get the best and best players. You've got Manchester City to compete with. You've got Chelsea to compete with. You've got Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester United. So all of those teams are going to have exactly the same philosophy as you. Liverpool have just equalised. Bad news. But anyway, like, you know what I mean? That's the way it goes. So what I'm saying is there's always going to be someone as good as you or whatever. Sometimes when you go to Liverpool, when you go to Manchester City, sometimes you have to adapt and you have to sort those things out, like, you know. But listen, if he has the best players and the best of everything, like he did at Celtic, of course he's going to win. But the Premier League's not like that. The Premier League's not like that. I have to ask you,
do you think, I mean, the thing with Arteta is you've gone from last season and the season before playing some, I hate saying this because I can't watch it at times, some scintillating stuff. I know you've changed the style, which you've spoke about a lot on your own various platforms, where you've become, you know, almost a set piece king at times. I mean, you've come away from playing such a fluent brand of football to then becoming the way you've had it at times. But the thing with Arteta is he has shown in certain periods that he can adapt. Do you think Ange Postecoglou, Lee, will adapt in time? Or do you think what you're seeing, and we have seen it in one-off games where the argument has been that sometimes he's been forced to play a slightly different way, given the nature of the players available to him. Can you see Ange changing for the benefit of the league and for Tottenham?
If he doesn't, Rick, right, he'll be gone. And it'll be someone else. It's as simple as that. I don't care whatever you say, like, you know. I'll tell you this now, right? And you might think I'm wrong on that. I don't know where you are in the Europa League. But say, for instance, you went out of the Europa League. He's gone. He's gone. You've got to get Champions League football. Like, you know, you've got this big stadium and all that. Like, well, Arsenal had that pressure of getting to Champions League. Whether you like it or whether you don't, top four is important nowadays. It's diminished the FA Cup. It's diminished everything because it's so important. Ain't for us. You know what I mean? I don't care. I've had better trips to the Europa League than I do the big cities of the Champions League. If I'll be honest, I'm going to be really honest as a fan. I'm telling you this now. But what I'm telling you is now that while you're in that Europa League, right? And I'll tell you what, you can go back to the Mourinho days and all that. Like you sacked a manager just before a cup final because your club, your owners thought you couldn't get into the Champions League. At the minute, he's got the safety net of Europa League because you're not. Without being horrible, I don't think you're going to get it via the league, right? I don't think you will do so, but you still got a chance in the Europa League. Now, for Ange to get the win-win for you guys is to win a trophy and win it and get Champions League for the owners. So, what's the best thing to go for? What's the best thing to put all your eggs into? Europa League. And while you're in that, I think he's as safe as ours. As soon as you go out of that, I guarantee you, if you was to go out of the Europa League, where are you in the league? 12th or 13th? Ange won't be there. So at the end of the day, he's got to either adapt or change, or it's not going to happen. Tottenham are a more ruthless club when it comes to managers than Arsenal have ever been. Ever been. Arsenal have never been a culture of sacking managers through all my time as a following Arsenal. You know what I mean? Like, even through like the sackings of, it's a lot, seem to be a bit more ruthless nowadays than it's back in the Terry Neal days and whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give him one more game.
Yep.
Nowadays, it's more ruthless. But Tottenham will be ruthless. Tottenham have been ruthless to Mourinho. They've been ruthless to Conte. They've been ruthless all the way through the Premier League. Like, even if I'm not mistaken, who's more of a legend at Tottenham, Glenn Hoddle or Ange? Was Glenn Hoddle ever down in 13th, 14th, 15th? I don't think so.
Well, I mean, at the moment, well, listen, they've got, as we know at the moment, they've got the lowest win percentage, and has got the lowest win percentage. You have to go back to Christian Gross to find the last manager to have the same win percentage as Ange. But I know, again, at the moment, look, he's hamstrung, pardon the pun, by our injuries at the moment. But it does feel that this is look, let's be honest about it. Spurs don't go away to Arsenal when the best of times. So I agree with what Bill said at the start of the show. Ange Postecoglou won't be getting sacked because Tottenham don't beat Arsenal away. As you've said, Lee, he'll be getting judged on those cup competitions that he's in. And it'll be interesting to see what he does. I want to come back and focus on the game as we look to close the show. But Lee, a quick question I've got to ask you. Will Ange Postecoglou be the Tottenham manager at the start of next season, in your opinion?
I hope not. Because that means you ain't won the Europa League. I can't be no more honest than that. Like, you know, if he wins the Europa League, he's going to be there. If you don't, he's not. It's as simple as that.
You really think it's down to that? Just that?
100%. I'm not the only one that thinks that. I've got my Spurs, mate. I've got my Spurs.
I'm asking you. Would a Carabao Cup, an FA Cup save him?
No. But a good question. I don't know. You tell me on that one. You know, like look, Spurs are desperate for a trophy, but if you're going to have a trophy, I know what one that Ange wants to win. I know which one. Listen, if he wins the Europa League, it's a win-win all round for Spurs.
We need a trophy. We need a trophy.
Playing an FA, I don't know when you're playing the Europa League knockout stage, and you've got Liverpool the next day.
Yep.
Or say on the Sunday, or and then on the Thursday you've got that Europa League game. I'm sure he'd be resting a couple of players here and there. I don't know. You tell me. Like, I know.
Listen, we'll ask the boys quickly, and we're then going to look to close on the game itself. Bill, if Ange does win one of the 3 trophies that he's currently got available and he's in, you imagine he'll start as a Spurs manager next season, right?
Yeah, definitely, Matt. And I think Lee is completely right. A few years ago, we did used to very much favour top 4 of a trophy. And make no mistake, that's why Jose Mourinho was sacked, because the Champions League was out of the question. Europe was becoming out of the question. We were that bad in the league, and he sacked him before a cup final. So definitely true. What I would say now is the context is slightly different in the fact that we're almost going 17, 18 years without a trophy. There is such a cloud hanging over the club now. I think Daniel Levy would do anything to end that cloud and put that cloud out, extinguish that cloud. So I think at the moment, I think it's a different time now, and I think everyone, the fans, are so anxious about this trophy thing. It's been going on for so long. I think Daniel Levy thinks about it as well. And I genuinely believe if there's any chance of winning the trophy, any of the 3 that were still in, Andrew will keep his job.
What's your gut telling you, Cracks, with regards to Spurs and the cup competitions? You know, we've often said on this show, it does feel like it's cups or bust. Do you think if Ange does deliver Tottenham a cup, he's in next season?
Well, firstly, it's scary. It seems like Lee's actually opened my head and been seeing my thoughts and things that I've been saying on this show and in our little WhatsApp groups about no matter what we think about Ange, his results will either keep him in a job or lose him his job. It's as simple as that. And we could be as pro Ange or anti Ange. And Lee's right. You know, you've got to be looking to get into that top 4. Or at least being in that Champions League. This is where the club needs to be to pay the bills. So, you know, if he ain't doing that, they'll just try and bring in the next brain surgeon to have a go at it. But with regards to the cup, Rick, if we was doing well, he wouldn't go. But I agree with Bill. At the moment, that's such a millstone round our necks. Of like with the cups and that if he does get either the FA Cup or even the League Cup, he will get next season. I mean, Daniel Levy's not a stupid man. If he wins something and then sacks him, then like, wow. I mean, you know, that would be crazy, because he's done something that no other manager was able to do before him. Having said that, football is a crazy industry. Now, if the club then get the opportunity to take a different manager that they feel that could take them a bit further, a bit like down at Bournemouth when they sacked Gary O'Neill.
Yeah.
And then everybody went, "What are you doing?" Like, Bournemouth he's doing okay there, and look what happened. So it's all about who can you bring in that could be a little bit better than the man before. But as it stands on the face of it, if we do win one of those cups this season, then he does get next season. But it will be, you know, that next season has to be something better in the league than what it currently is, because cups are cups. Wigan won the FA Cup and got relegated the same season. So they're no guide to you where you are on form or where you are as a club philosophy. Your league position is always telling you where you are as a manager, as a squad, and as a club. And, you know, the proof's in the pudding with 12th, 13th at the moment. It's just not where this squad, even with it like depleted and some come in and some go out, this isn't where that squad should be. It's absolutely no, you know, it's nonsense to be around a Bournemouth that are operating on a stadium that holds like 14,000. Like my young lad in the stadium behind me has played to nearly that many people, like, you know, and they're running a Premier League club out of it. So, like, you know, go figure. But he will get next season if he wins one of those cups. If he doesn't, then no, like Lee's right. They'll get rid of him. They will get rid of him. That's just not good enough.
It's interesting, because I mean, you brought up earlier, actually, I think it was off there, we said this, that, you know, depending on your feelings of a manager, sometimes you can't be too critical. Some get really overbearing. And again, I will make this point that, you know, I always feel with this show, we balance and praise where praise should be given out. We also criticize where criticism is needed to be had. And look, I think, if Tottenham go on to win a trophy, I think many would maybe say, look, it's a one-off this season. We'll definitely, as Bill said, we need a trophy. But the inconsistency in the league form definitely has affected, I think, fans' minds. And I'm sure, like you say, with you, Lee, the same. You know, I know you guys need a trophy, want a trophy after, again, not as long a drought as we've had. Nearly 2 decades worth for Tottenham. But we do need it. Look, we're going to bring on where we are, the two managers. I mean, Andrew's actually asked the question, has the North London derby intensified since he's been here? I said, look, I felt it was intense from the moment I arrived here. He was pushed around the fact of the rivalry, and if he understood that on the back of, I think we obviously remember the fact that he couldn't get his head round Ange at the time of certain Spurs fans wanting Man City to win to stop Arsenal winning the league. And look, he just, again, you could see he was very, very anxious about answering that question in the presser. And he went, look, nothing I didn't know already from that experience. I totally understand it. I don't agree with it. I'd never go into a game wanting a team or my team to lose. That was the basic principle. Look, trust me, when I was up at Celtic, there was only ever one result they looked out for, and it was if the other opposition was going to have an L next to the name for the weekend. So look, at the end of the day, I do understand the rivalry. I think what it will be for Andy is that I think he needs a win against Arsenal. I think, you know, this is what Pochettino had on a number of occasions. It got him a lot of time with the fans because of getting those wins against Arsenal. And to be fair, look, Conte got a big win, of course, against you guys, and sounds crazy to think that. When you look back at that 3-0 now, how both teams have gone in such different directions. I know Arsenal are going through a bit of a wobble right now, Lee, but domestic-wise, I mean, I think no one would have predicted at the time just how the two clubs would have gone in the directions they would have gone, given at the time that result that Conte did give Tottenham in that 3-0 win. But look, Ange very much, he understands, in his opinion, what the derby does mean. Arteta, from his perspective, also, as he always has done, feels that this is Arsenal's biggest game of the season. He understands what it means to the supporters. I suppose coming out of you, Bill, as we're looking to kind of summarise and close this show, is where do you feel, Bill, the game will be won and lost? And given Arsenal's current form and where they are right now, and crazy saying this. Do you generally feel they are there for the taking, Bill? Do you go into this game with any sense of confidence despite Spurs' current league form?
No, I don't, to be honest. And that's just, plainly looking at where the two teams lie. They're miles ahead of us in the league. They have been for the last 3 seasons, 3 or 4 seasons. And, I think they're a significantly better team than us at the moment, which is unfortunate. It doesn't mean to say we can't beat them because, as Lee said at the beginning, under Ange, we can beat any team in the world. I truly believe that. We have 5-6 minute spells under Ange sometimes where we look absolutely unplayable. And sometimes we spend those 10-minute spells scoring 3 or 4 goals. Everything would have to go right to win tomorrow. I'd be absolutely delighted with a draw, to be honest, at this stage in the season, and this crisis that we're in. But I certainly don't go into it feeling any kind of confidence whatsoever. I think, in answer to your original question, I think it'll be won or lost by set pieces, because we are quite poor at defending set pieces. Arsenal probably the best set piece team in the world. The new goalkeeper hopefully make a slight bit of difference because there was definitely weakness there with Vicario. At this moment in time, I can't go into this game thinking we're definitely going to win. I would love a draw, mate.
Look, before I do predictions there, Cracks, for you, look, you're back with me for this one afterwards. Where do you see the game being won and lost for you, Cracks? Obviously, Arsenal have got some injuries. Spurs have got their own injuries as well. Arsenal's form at the moment, they've had a couple of dodgy results over the last couple of weeks. Spurs have, back-to-back wins at the start of 2025. What's your thoughts?
Well, if it's Tottenham v Liverpool turns up, then the game will come down to some moments. It'll just be moments, one way or the other. This is what we saw earlier this season with Arsenal's 1-0 win. For all the hyperbole that you get about XG, field tilt, this, that, and everything else with you need this system and do this and do that. The Arsenal goal came from us being on the edge of the Arsenal box and one of the Arsenal defenders swinging a leg at a ball, which, takes place at Premier League down to National League. It fell nicely for them. They got a corner and done us on a set piece. And that was just a moment that just came out of an agricultural wallop. So, look, if Tottenham of the Liverpool game turn up, then we're in it and we'll see who gets that moment, that little bit of luck, just takes that opportunity. If it's the Tottenham that turned up against Tamworth, well, get your abacus out because it'll be a cricket score. It really will. So they're nearly always fairly tight games. And they just have those moments that who goes and grabs one of those moments. Lee's right. Kane used to make us a moment, didn't he? He'd get us that moment. He was always nicking a goal in that game out of something and giving us some hope. We've got to have everybody at it tomorrow night, properly at it. If there's anybody off of it, that Arsenal are like water. They'll find your weakest point and they'll flood you. They will flood you. So let's see. It's such an hard game to predict. So, but we have to be at our very, very best to get anything tomorrow night. So let's see where it takes us.
Judges, you've had 49 shots in the last 2 games. I have a talk on, again, some of your colleagues that a rollicking is coming for somebody or a battering's coming. You've said, though, you're fairly nervous going into this league. How do you see it playing out for you?
Well, I think it'd be interesting. I think home advantage is a key as well. I always think that is. Yep. I still say it is. Listen, if Arsenal turn up and play well and they get the chances and take them, then we'll be fine. If we get that first chance and we miss it, then, I think there will be a little bit of concern around the stadium and a little bit of nervousness there, so that's a key moment. And I do think, set pieces will, as Bill said, I think that they will come into play. I think that, it is our strongest point. The goalkeeper, he's done well, but he's not been tested yet with properly, and if that moment in that last seconds at Tamworth falls to an Arsenal player, you know what's coming. We'll probably.
Can I ask you, Lee, how much a difference do you think it being a night game makes under the lights. You know, because the reason why I say that is I don't mean in any disrespectful way. Look, Tottenham and Arsenal, it's always hardcore fans there that for those games. You know, we know, look, the game sells itself. It doesn't need a advert. It doesn't need a big up. You know what these games mean to the fans. It's the biggest game of the season, home and away. It's the first games that we look for on the calendar. Does it benefit both teams? It's an evening game, or does it benefit Arsenal? Or do you look into that really if it's not a 12:30 on a Saturday or a Sunday? What do you think?
Someone said the last time it was a midweek game was a 4-4. Like, you know what I mean? So, I don't know if that's true. That's what
maybe Premier League. Yes, I think Premier League would have been.
Premier League.
Before,
I think
before that, it would have been the Dele Alli 2-0 win.
Yeah, but that don't count. That don't count.
I've got to squeeze it in there.
You're not having that one, are you?
I've got to squeeze that one in there, Judge. This with our record now. Come on, let me put something in there.
Listen, first and foremost, it's ridiculous being on a night game, but I've seen Everton-Liverpool games at night and all that.
Yeah.
So you've just got to see how it is. Does it make any difference? I don't know. Like that. I mean,
do you feel any different tomorrow night than going at 12:30 on a Sunday or a Saturday?
Yeah, no. It's just like not really. It's a big game, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? I don't really. I think we're used to midweek games. It's not like we don't play in midweek and you do. I don't think it's really. And listen, most of the games are under the lights now anyway. Even at 12:30, they put the lights.
It's you brought out there. I mean, in fact, it's fascinating you say that, and you're probably right. The last domestic game between the clubs during an evening game at the Emirates probably was the 4-4. Well,
I don't remember. Yeah, was a Tottenham and Arsenal game a Monday night one time. I'm not too sure. When you beat us 3-0, that was a night game, wasn't it? If I remember rightly, I don't know.
Yeah, it was. Obviously, that was that.
That was erase that from my memory.
I bet you did. That's the one you wanted to erase. But I think at the Emirates, though, I think you are right. I mean,
like someone said it today, like, you know what I mean. Yeah. So take that on board. So So listen, I don't think it makes much difference. Arsenal, Spurs, as you say, like, these are the games. Look, I hate this game and all that, but if you win it, it's the best game. It's the best game. But it's the worst game if you lose it, like, so that's how it is, you know what I mean? Like, listen, and I don't care what you say, Arsenal need to win this more than Spurs, and that may be a little bit on it. Arsenal have got to win tomorrow. A draw is no good. So
it's interesting. I think you're right, Lee. In terms of the domestic form, yes, Arsenal need it more, but I will tell you, Ange Postecoglou will probably feel he needs this win more than does he need it more than Arteta? I just think there's fans out there that are so against Ange right now that this would be a great opportunity to win back some support. As Bill said earlier, he's got a City and won, he's got a United and won, he's beaten Liverpool at home. If he goes and beats Arsenal away, and then he delivers Tottenham a cup, there'll be a lot of fans that will think, do you know what? Yeah. Give this guy next season because he's gone away to some big teams and got results. And look, many love the Martin Jol era at Tottenham. But one of Martin Jol's failures was, as we remember, he couldn't get results against the top 4 teams. And I'm going back a long way there in terms of managers, but that will serve Ange well. That if he delivers a cup and he's gone away from home and gone at home and won some of those big 4 games, I think that'd be massive for him. I really do. Look, before I get everyone's predictions, I have to read out some of the stats here. That will probably be more pleasant to Lee's eyes than it will be to ours. Tottenham won just one of their last 31 Premier League away games against Arsenal, are winless in 13 since that 3-2 victory in November 2010. Arsenal won 6 of their last 8 league games against Spurs, drawing 1, losing 1, and are looking to win 3 in a row against them for the first time since January 1989, which would have been under the David Pleat era. You've got to go back that far. Tottenham only won one of their last 31 away Premier League games against Arsenal, drawing 12, losing 18, while they're also winless in 13 trips to the Emirates. And this is this stat is absolutely crazy what I read here. Tottenham have conceded at least once in their last 25 away games against Arsenal, and that stretches back to the 0-0 draw in the 1988-89 season. And in the league history, only at one club have Tottenham had a longer run away without a clean sheet. And you won't get this. Do you know what it is? Spurs boys, Crackers, Bill? I don't know if judges will know this.
Chelsea.
Bolton. Where's that one come from? Bolton. What a football club. Right. We know it's a mental stumbling block, this ground, but to get a result there will be massive. Let's start with a guest. Judge, can I just say that? Thank you so much for your time. We've caught you on an evening where a lot of the enemies are playing around you, but your biggest enemies are staring you right in the face right now.
Yeah. We can only control what we can do today. Like, I've just seen the results are going our way at this moment in time. If it stays the same, like Chelsea have drawn, Man City have drawn, so it would be that. I'm going to go 3-1 the Arsenal. I just think that we'll bounce back tomorrow, and I say that with a little bit of heart overhead. Right, you know what I mean? But listen, I think Arsenal. I don't know who's going to win this game. I'm not, as I said, I'm not as confident as normal. Like, you know, people will be saying, 3-4-0 and all that. Like, you know, it could happen, but I don't see it. Like, you know what I mean? I think a couple of set pieces. Gabriel, big Gab's getting on with the end of one in the first 10 minutes will unsettle you. And but listen, I think you'll always be in the game. So I'm going to back the Arsenal because I've got to.
It can't be seen after coming on here and not backing him. He won't get.
No, that's it, like, you know what I mean. So I get that. Like,
I've got a couple of final ones to win with judges on, but I'll go to Bill. Bill, what are we going for? Emirates.
Yeah.
You heard me read that record out there. It's appalling, really. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. I can't knock back Tottenham going into a North London derby. I'm going to go 1-1. Can't say that we're going to lose a match before or not.
I thought you were going to go for a win there, Bill.
I can't quite go that far.
I can't knock back if I go for a 1-1.
Yeah, I can't quite go that far, but I'll take a 1-1.
Honestly, Bill, an absolute pleasure having you back on. The King of X, Billie T. We all go to Bill when we need a pick-me-up on Tottenham results and see what Bill can put out for us on X to cheer us up. Bill, you're a star. Thank you so much for making it work. We're going to see you very, very soon. Cracks, you're back with me tomorrow for our sins as to what we're going to review here. A load of people loving the show, I've got to say. It's been over 7,000 that have checked out this show on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitch. Thank you so much for your support. Been incredible. Cracks, what are we going for?
Do you know what? Thankfully, my lad's just come out of keeper training and he's back in the car now, having one of my little cups of tea out of my flask. Tom,
bless his heart.
Score tomorrow. 1-0. He's gone 1-0. 1-1. If you was in goal, though, they wouldn't score, would they? 3-0 Tottenham, he's saying if he's in goal.
He can't handle those crosses. Don't worry about that.
I tell you what, I've seen him put a few Canarian boys in the back of his own net that have come and try to undo his glove or stand on his foot. He's 6'1" and a lump. He ain't taking no old shit, let me tell you.
Get him in goal with Kingsky here tomorrow. Do us a favour. Give us some backup in there. Cracks, we'll see you tomorrow, mate. You're an absolute diamond. And Judge, quite a couple of final questions for you. Will Mikel Arteta start the season as Arsenal manager next season? And are Arsenal going to win the title?
100%. He'll be starting. And if this stays the same here today and Arsenal win tomorrow, brace yourselves because we'll be coming to your place next season as the champions.
God help us. Let's get him off here quick. Let's get him off here. And Lee, final one. Where can all these Tottenham fans find you? Over 6,500. Where can they find you?
Nowhere. Like, don't worry about me. Like, you know what I mean? I'm fine. Don't worry about it.
We're hopefully all looking forward to seeing your AFTV video drop at around 10:15 tomorrow.
Yeah, I bet you will. Like, only if we will.
Hey, Tottenham fans, he's on Mumsnet. He goes under the pseudonym of Marjorie Smith. That's where you'll find him.
We're just waiting for the Judges TV content to drop on the Thursday morning. We'll catch him on AFTV or later on that evening. But God, we're dreading it. I want to say, Lee, thank you so much for your time, mate. I know, like I say, you're here, there, and everywhere. Love having you on.
Love you loads, but as you know, I just wish you all the misery in the world, and I can't say any more than that.
I don't mean that, do you? Of course he bloody means it. It's the rivalry. Listen, I want to say a massive thanks to the wonderful Billie T. Bill, thank you so much. We're going to see Bill very soon. The wonderful Richard Crackers Cracknell Cracked. We'll see you after the game. And the wonderful Lee Judges Lee. We'll catch up with you next season where hopefully, God, if we're doing a guard of honour, I think I will top myself. I don't think I can carry on this bloody show if we're doing a guard of honour. Can you imagine? Can't even think about it. Let's hope that we're not in that situation. But from us all here, listen, please keep safe, keep well. The North London derby is upon us. From us all here, keep safe, keep well. And as always, come on, you Spurs.